Alright, let's go ahead and start with taking our tools here and taking what we've done so far. What we're going to do now is we're going to start to learn how to reshape these so that we can put them all together and so that it starts to look like a pumpkin. Now, your pumpkin might not look very good right now. It might look like mine, and that's okay, because what we're going to do right now is we're going to use our direct selection cursor and our convert anchor point tool to convert these shapes into more traditional pumpkin shapes. And like I said before, don't panic if your first shapes aren't drawn that well. We did that on purpose. We wanted to draw these quickly. We don't want to sit and spend a lot of time just drawing one shape and making it perfect, and then drawing another shape and trying to make that perfectly line up with the previous shape, because it just doesn't work that way. What we're going to do is work from the center outward to the left, and then from the center outward to our right, to make these shapes fit perfectly and look more like a pumpkin. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. Now, when I first begin this lesson, I want you to understand that we're going to be using the direct selection tool in our toolbox, and that's the one on the top right here. That's our direct selection tool, and it's going to show that it activates and becomes active when it gets over the top of these shapes or these lines. And notice it stays active over the shape and also over the line. Okay, and then it deactivates. You don't see that little black square after you move it outside of it. Okay, and the reason why we want to do this is because when we select this object, these anchor points that we placed earlier with the pen tool and then created our shapes, we are now able to select them and click and drag these lines where we want. If we deselect and then grab our selection tool, the top left, we can grab these shapes, but we cannot move the anchor point in a direction we want. It moves the whole object that we've drawn, okay? And we can resize it by using the transform tools on the outer edges, but we cannot reshape the actual line itself, and we want to reshape the line itself, okay? So that's what we're going to do. Now, if I select this line with my selection cursor and then go and select my direct selection cursor, you're going to see that these anchor points are dark blue, and that means I cannot change the shape or move the anchor point independently. The whole object moves. And what I want to do is move these anchor points independently so I can reshape my object and make it look more like the shape I want, or a pumpkin in this case. So I have to deselect anywhere in the background on my canvas or on my desktop. So let's go ahead and deselect, and now we're going to reselect, and now you can see that the anchor points are now hollow. And so now we can start to move these anchor points in a direction that we want, and we have our swing arms activated so we can move these pieces of the shape that we've drawn into a better position so it starts to look a little more like a pumpkin. Alright, and don't panic if you're having a little trouble with this. It does take a little practice, and once you get a little practice, you'll notice that you quickly become an old professional at this. So quickly we'll start to understand how these things work together. Okay, now as we move out, we want to have, for lack of a better word, we're going to call these sections ribs of the pumpkin. So we're going to try to select these quickly, and notice this is a solid blue anchor point I selected, so I'm going to deselect and reselect on the line here, and now I've got the hollow anchor point, and I'm just going to move these lines into position. And as I move outward, I'm going to bring these anchor points in closer, and I'm going to reshape these lines so that they look a little bit more smooth and pumpkin-like. Okay, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to deselect, reselect, or click with my mouse outside the area. When I say select, I mean to click anywhere on this outer area on the desktop or the canvas, and then reselect or click on the line. And let's move our anchor points in to a better position, and we're simply going to drag these in, and if our swing arms in a little bit to make those curves better. Don't panic if it's not looking great. You're going to get there. And we're going to drag this in, and again, don't panic if it's not looking great. We're going to take our swing arms and smooth these out a little bit and make things look a little better as we go. There we go. Alright, and notice that this line is outside the previous one. Let's come back to the top here and we're going to drag this line in a little bit. It will take you probably a few times to figure out which lines are connected to what. Alright, and let's quickly do the outside here, and we'll drag these in. And now, as you can see, as we're getting a better pumpkin shape. But this shape is over the top of this layer, so I have to move it behind this layer. Well, let's make the correct shape here. Let's move our lines in, and then we can see that now we've still got to move this in a little bit. But let's move it to the back layer. So we're going to make sure this line is selected, or this shape is selected. We'll go Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and now it's moved behind, and now we can make this a better pumpkin shape here. Okay, and if we need to, we can stretch these lines out just a little bit, a little better curve there. And we'll quickly go to the next shape, do the same thing, okay, and bring our little curved lines in here, make this look more like a pumpkin very quickly. And don't panic if it's not happening for you as fast as it is for me. I've been doing this for a long time, and it may take you a little longer than me to draw your pumpkin, but just keep watching how I'm doing it and you'll quickly pick this up. And again, we're going to move this shape behind the previous shape, so we're going to go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back, and we'll quickly do this last shape, and we'll have our pumpkin drawn to a pretty good shape of a pumpkin. Might not be perfect, but we'll come back in part 3 and fix this and make it look better. Okay. Again, don't panic if it's not happening for you as fast as myself. Take your time, get your shapes, practice drawing, and one last one, we're going to move to the back here, Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. And with that, I deselect it. Now you can see that all the shapes are in line, but this one still needs a little more work, but we're going to quickly wrap up here and move on to part 3, so don't panic if there's a few lines out of shape here. We'll come back and make things look nice and neat. Again, if you have any questions, email me or come and see me in class, and we'll figure out what to do next to make your pumpkin look better, or maybe some instructions so I can help you make yours look better. Good luck, and we'll see you in class.